So the last software development question here. Sarah's family has got this burglar alarm. There's quite a long description of there about sensors and a 4-digit PIN. Now, if we think about this 4-digit PIN, because it's going to come up later, that means that it's going to be 0000 to 9999. That's relevant. If we want to generate that as a random number, problem is 0 is going to just be 0. So we really, when we're doing the random number question, we would need to use 1000 to guarantee that we get 4 digits. But I'm going to come back to that. So some of the control panel code is shown below. It's quite a long piece of code here, but the only thing that you're actually being asked about it to start off with is a logical operator. So you don't need to understand every bit of this code in detail. And actually, if I remember right, there's probably logic errors in here anyway that were deliberately part of another question. So we're looking for a logical operator. Logical operators are and, or, and not. And if we look at this code, we can see that there is an and here. There's an and here. I don't think there are any other ands. Oh, there is. There's one here. There's a not here. I don't think there are any other nots, and I don't think there are any ors. So, and is there, not is there, or is not there. So I could choose either one of those as my answer. And I chose and, but you could have not. So if one of the family forgets a PIN, the button and the app can tell the control panel to generate a new 4-digit number. Using a programming language, rewrite line 6 to show how a new 4-digit number can be generated. Your answer should use a predefined function. So that's kind of scaffolding it a wee bit here. How do you generate a 4-digit number? Now I think, maybe deliberately in here, it's not anything to do with length, but the fact that we're talking about 4-digit, I know that sometimes people go down that path and think, all right, how do I check the number of digits in it or something? It's not about that. It's about, if you're making a number and you want your number to be guaranteed 4 digits, the problem is if you do 0000 to 9999, you might get a number that's, say, 50 until, 9999. Or you might get 200 up to 9999. You want to guarantee that you're going to have 4 digits. So the only way to do that is by starting at 1000. So it's a random number question, and by this point you've done lots of random numbers and you should be comfortable writing the code, but there's a bit of problem solving in here and thinking through what's a sensible answer here. That's why it is not starting at 0. You need to start at 1000 so that you've got a guaranteed 4-digit number. The PIN is encrypted. The part of the processor used to subtract 1 from the remaining 3 attempts. It's an ALU. It's a part of the processor that would transfer the safe PIN from memory to the processor. So data bus. So the saved PIN, so that's data. Therefore, it's the data bus. It could only be a data bus or address bus at National 5, and the address bus is about the location of something in memory, not the actual value. Then we've got a vector graphic question, so actually nice and easy. We've got this diagram. The smartphone app can display a vector graphic from the house showing the coverage of each sensor. The vector objects be used to draw the outline of the toilet, so any vector graphic object that we could use in here. So there's an ellipse, there's a sort of rounded rectangle there, there's an ellipse right in the middle, any of those. An attribute of it, you could have line thickness, you could have line colour, fill colour, x and y coordinates, whatever. Then we've got a code question at the end. So Sarah was able to use a feature in the manufacturer's app to determine the number of sensors and the volume of siren that she would need. So the app already asked her to enter the number of bedrooms and the number of outside doors. So that's already known. We're not having to write code that's going to input those. We've got the number of bedrooms, number of outside doors, approximate distance, and whether it's getting upstairs or not. So we already have variables. And our variables, whatever they're called, are going to contain this data. So if I'm writing code and I want to know the number of bedrooms, well, there must already be a variable about the number of bedrooms. The app calculates the number of sensors and loudness of the siren. Part of the code is shown below. So sensor count, so this is a variable name, to num bedrooms and num doors. So that is all coming in here, right? That's num bedrooms, num doors. Set the volume to distance divided by 20 plus 80. Using a programming language, write code to add an additional sensor if the house has an upstairs. So the additional sensor, that's going to be this sensor count variable. Display the siren volume to 2 decimal places, so we're going to use a round function. We're not given a specific variable for an upstairs, so you could use some common sense what you call it. You could call it upstairs, you could call it, I don't know, number of floors is greater than 1, whatever. So long as you've got an if statement in here and you're saying, does it have an upstairs? So if upstairs is true, then add 1 to sensor count. And then volume, so round volume 2. Note that's 2, it's not 2 decimal places or 2 dp or anything, it's just 2. And then print volume. The other thing I could have done is I could just put print around here if I wanted to, and I could do it in one line. So variable names for sensor count and volume are given in the question. Variable for upstairs is just a sensible name. You could have said something like if upstairs equals yes, made it a string, that'd be fine, because the point of the question is just about you doing an if statement. +1 is just add 1, so it's just a shorthand that we've used in class. And then whatever you've rounded to 2 decimal places, that's going to be printed as well, because it says it's display. So we need to print it on the screen as well as working it out.